World War I was not the kind of war you were taught in school. It was not just a war of trenches, artillery, and barbed wire. It was not only fought with rifles, bayonets, and soldiers marching through mud. The real war was fought in banks. While soldiers were dying at the front, someone else was sitting behind closed doors, running calculations. How much debt can we issue? How much money can we print? How much sacrifice can we extract from the public before they realize what's happening? And here is the uncomfortable truth. The financial decisions made during those years did not just decide who won and who lost the war. They shaped your money, your purchasing power, your future. If you think war is only about politics and generals, this video will force you to rethink everything. Because World War I proved something most people still don't want to accept. Money is a weapon, and very often, it is the deadliest one. In 1914, Europe was already unstable. Nationalism was rising. Empires were suspicious of one another. Alliances looked strong on paper, but trust was thin. Yet beneath all the speeches about honor and empire, there was a reality few wanted to face. A war of this scale required unimaginable amounts of money. And the moment leaders chose war, they also chose debt. Every army marching toward the front was marching its people into decades of economic burden. But no one said that out loud. Instead, everyone repeated the same lie. This war will be short, over by Christmas. A few decisive battles. Then life returns to normal. That belief shaped everything that followed. Governments assumed they could finance the war the old way, with gold, with limited borrowing, with patriotic donations. That illusion collapsed within weeks. The war was burning money faster than anyone had imagined. In the summer of 1914, Europe still operated under the gold standard. Paper money was supposed to be exchangeable for real gold. That system created trust, but it also placed limits on governments. Gold was finite. You could not print endlessly without destroying confidence. But reality did not care about rules. Millions of soldiers were mobilized. Factories were converted to weapons. Government spending exploded. By late 1914, Germany was spending over 10 million marks per day. Britain's daily war costs soon exceeded £2.5 million. The math was merciless. The gold would not last, and then the rules were quietly suspended. One by one, governments abandoned the gold standard. This was not a technical adjustment. It was one of the most important financial decisions in modern history. Because in that moment, they admitted something fundamental. Money was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by faith in the state. And once that anchor was cut, it was never fully restored. That was the moment the financial war truly began. Once the gold anchor was gone, the question was no longer, do we have enough gold? The real question became, how much debt can we sell? Germany had few options. Cut off from global capital markets and blockaded by the British Navy, it turned inward. The state launched massive war bond campaigns, patriotic posters, emotional appeals, promises of victory and repayment. The message was simple. Give your savings today. You will be rewarded tomorrow. In total, more than 100 billion marks were raised this way. But the entire system rested on a single assumption: victory. When defeat came, those bonds became worthless. Life savings disappeared. And the economic trauma that followed created the conditions for radical politics in the years ahead. Economic history always leaves scars. Britain, however, had one critical advantage. London was the financial center of the world. Sterling was trusted. British financial networks were global. But even that was not enough. As the war dragged on, Britain turned to the United States. Officially, America was neutral, but its bankers were not. Firms like J.P. Morgan and Company became the financial lifeline of Britain and France. This was not charity. It was power. By the time the United States formally entered the war, it had already been financing it for years. World War I transformed America from a debtor nation into the world's largest creditor. The American century did not begin on battlefields. It began in ledgers. Russia's situation was even more fragile. A vast empire, but an underdeveloped financial system. Heavy borrowing, rising inflation, a collapsing currency. By 1917, the economy was broken, and the political system followed. Revolutions are not driven by ideology alone. They are often triggered by financial collapse. When the war ended, the world faced the real damage. The gold standard was shattered. Debts were enormous. Inflation tore through economies. And once again, the cost was paid by ordinary people. Workers, savers, the middle class. Elites, meanwhile, often protected themselves. Now look at the present, when central banks say inflation is temporary. When governments say the system is sound. Remember 1914. They said the same thing then. History does not repeat itself exactly, but it rhymes. The financial playbook written during World War I is still being used today. The lesson is simple, but uncomfortable. When money is untethered from reality, it becomes a tool of control, and those without knowledge are always the first to pay the price. History is the only teacher that does not lie.